Do you remember February 6th, 2018? On that day, millions of people around the world shared a photo of a red Tesla Roadster floating in space. Elon Musk's PR stunt. Many laughed. Toys in space, critics said. A billionaire's vanity project. 7 years later, on December 11th, 2025, that same company completed its 161st launch of the year, the 549th successful booster landing, the 3-second flight of a single rocket, and the fastest turnaround of a launch pad in the history of spaceflight. Nobody's laughing anymore. But many are asking, where is this leading? And should we be concerned that one person, one company, holds so much power over access to space? Let me show you the numbers. Not because numbers are impressive, but because they tell a story. 2025, the year that changed everything. SpaceX 161 Falcon 9 launches. As of today, December 12th, let me put that in perspective. The entire Soviet Union in their record year of 1982, 100 launches. China in their record year of 2024, 67 launches. The United States during the entire Apollo program, 13 manned missions to the moon. One company, 100 launches. In 11 months. But here's the number that really makes me pause. Of those 100 launches, 118 were Starlink missions. That means SpaceX is launching its own satellite fleet, building its own infrastructure in space, not for the government, not for science, for a commercial internet business. Is this the future we wanted? But wait, this number of 161 launches, that's only half the story. What happened on December 11th was even more remarkable. On December 9th at 2:16 p.m. Eastern Time, a Falcon 9 lifted off from Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral. Mission, NRO 77, classified, National Reconnaissance Office. The rocket landed at Landing Zone 2. Now here's the part that makes even experienced NASA engineers shake their heads. 48 hours and 45 minutes later, on December 11th at 5:01 p.m., the next Falcon 9 launched from the same pad. SLC-40, 2 days, 2 hours, 45 minutes. That's the fastest turnaround of a launch pad in the history of spaceflight. The previous record? Also SpaceX. In October, 2 days, 7 hours. Let me put that in perspective. When you followed the rocket launches in the 1960s, and I know many of you did, months passed between launches. Months of preparation, checks, safety protocols. Between Apollo 10 and Apollo 11, 2 months. And those were the same teams, the same experts who made the impossible possible. SpaceX does it in 2 days. The question that arises, what have they figured out that NASA didn't know? Or, and this is the more uncomfortable question, what safety checks are being skipped? And then there's the rocket itself. Booster 1083. Sounds technical, impersonal, but this rocket has a story. 16 flights, launched into space, returned, landed. 16 times it flew the Polaris Dawn mission, the private space mission where civilians performed a spacewalk. It carried Crew 8 to the ISS, real astronauts. It launched the IM-2 lunar mission. And now, after 16 flights, it's standing in Florida again, ready for flight number 17. Here's the thing. And whether you see this as a problem or an achievement depends on your perspective. When the Saturn V flew to the moon, every rocket was a single-use item. Used, consumed, dropped into the ocean, or burned up in the atmosphere. Each launch cost hundreds of millions of dollars. This Falcon 9 launched, landed, refueled, launched. 16 times. Each launch cost SpaceX an estimated $50 million. But because the rocket is reusable, the cost per mission drops dramatically. And then there's Booster 1067. The record holder, 32 flights, 32 times to space and back. On December 8th, it flew for the 32nd time, landed perfectly, like routine. Wernher von Braun dreamed of this. SpaceX makes it normal, but here's where we get to the heart of the matter, to the question that should concern all of us. 561 launches in the last 365 days. That's not just SpaceX, that's the entire global spaceflight industry. SpaceX alone? 161 of them. That's 29% of all worldwide rocket launches from one company. And here's what makes me, and probably many of you, think deeply. 3,000 Starlink satellites SpaceX launched in 2025 alone. The entire constellation, over 10,000 satellites in orbit, active, functional. A new NASA study published just this week warns these mega constellations threaten space astronomy. The Hubble Space Telescope, which has shown us the wonders of the universe since 1990, already has satellite trails in 1/3 of its images, streaks across the galaxies. Is this the price of progress? Elon Musk says Starlink brings internet to remote areas, connects the world, enables education, communication, progress. Astronomers say it destroys our view into space forever. Who's right? And here's the bigger question. When we flew to the moon, it was a national project. NASA, government control, accountability, democratic oversight. Now, one person, one company, 29% of all rocket launches, 10,000 satellites, and the numbers are rising. Is that good? Is that safe? Is that the future we want? In the 1960s, we asked, can we fly to space? Today, we must ask, just because we can, should we do it this way? And that brings me to the final question, the question that hangs over all of this. On July 20th, 1969, and many of you will remember this exactly, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed on the moon. 600 million people watched. The whole world held its breath. It was a moment of unity, of shared human achievement. NASA, funded by taxpayer dollars on behalf of all humanity. 56 years later, SpaceX launches a rocket every 2 days. Private company, profit-driven, impressively efficient. But is it the same dream? The numbers are breathtaking. 161 launches in 2025, 549 successful landings total, 32 flights of a single booster, pad turnaround in 2 days. This is technically brilliant, without question. But as we celebrate these records, we must also ask, who owns space? Who controls access? What rules apply? And who makes these rules? You lived through the space race. You saw nations compete for supremacy in space. Now you're witnessing the commercial space age, companies making profit. Efficiency above all. Is this better? Is this worse? Or is it simply different? I want to hear your thoughts. You've seen more history than most. You remember Apollo, the shuttle era, the ISS. What do you think about this new era, about 161 launches in a year, about private companies dominating space? Write it in the comments. And don't forget, on December 13th, tomorrow night, the Geminid meteor shower reaches its peak, up to 120 shooting stars per hour, free, for everyone. No company can privatize that. Not yet. Truth only.